Cabin with a view. "Wouldn't it be great if we could rent a place like that?" Anne asked her husband Jeff. "Are we not on our way to the cabin that we rented?" "Yes, but look at it. The one we rented looks nothing like that." Anne pointed back to the tall cabin. The view on the back was the sight Anne noticed first. Glass windows covered the entire side down to a glass door. The door opened onto a wide deck hanging over the steep edge of the mountain. "Sure, we'll just go up there and invite ourselves in," Jeff said as he continued driving. "No, but we can ask if they would like to rent it to us." "Are you serious?" "You own a real estate business. Use your charm," Anne demanded. "The worst they can say is no." "What are we going to do about the cabin we're headed to?" Jeff asked. "Let your brother use it." "You know my brother. He's not going to come all the way from Jersey to rent a cabin." "If it's free, he will," she assured him. "You expect me to pay for both of them?" "It's for our anniversary," she pleaded with him. Jeff turned his Mercedes around and headed back to the cabin with the great high deck. He drove the car up the stone-filled driveway and parked in front of the cabin. "I want to see the deck first," Anne said, running to the back of the cabin with Jeff close behind. Their eyes followed the thin wooded stilts that held the large deck high above them. "That must be 30 feet high," Jeff said in amazement. 34 to be exact," said a voice behind them. The couple turned to see a man who looked to be in his late 30s. He was dressed in a flannel shirt and wore a pair of blue jeans. "We're sorry. We didn't mean to be trespassing," Anne said apologetically. "That's okay," the man said, placing his hands inside his pockets. "Try not to get too close to the edge there." Jeff looked and saw the far rocky drop behind him. He looked back at the man and asked Anne's request. "I know this might sound crazy, but we were wondering if you might be interested in renting your cabin." "What, today?" the man jokingly replied. "Whenever you possibly could. You see, my wife Anne and we saw your cabin and thought we might ask about it." "I never rented out a home before. I wouldn't even know where to start." "If it helps, I'm in the real estate business," Jeff explained. "I can take care of any paperwork you may need, plus a list of the current market analysis." "That's very nice, really, but I just feel a bit strange offering my place to people that I don't know." "My name is Jeff, and this is my wife Anne." They both smiled at him. "Hello, I'm Derek. I would introduce you to my wife, but she's in Sweden at the moment." "Oh, how wonderful," Anne said. "Yes, actually, I'll be flying out there tomorrow morning. First class. So I really won't have time to go through any paperwork. I'm sorry." "We love your deck," Anne spoke again. "Thank you. We just had it put in about 3 weeks ago. The neighbors seem to be a little jealous of it, but we like it." "Tell you what, think it over," Jeff said, pulling out his business card and wrote on the back of it. "If you change your mind, give me a call on my cell phone." "Will do." Derek watched as the couple left in their Mercedes. He flipped over the card and read the back. 1 weekend, $2,500 a night. Derek was amazed at the price. The next morning, Derek decided to call Jeff about the offer on the house. "Hello, Jeff. Derek Johnson here. I've been thinking about your offer, and I've decided to take you up on it. I'll leave the keys in the mailbox and fresh towels on the bed." Later that night, Jeff and Ann drove up to the cabin. The keys were left in the mailbox as promised. They couldn't imagine a better place for their anniversary. The high ceiling showed all 3 rooms in the tall cabin. In the large living room, 2 sofas sat across from each other as a statue of a Black Panther held up a glass coffee table. The kitchen was connected to the living room as an island bar separated the 2 rooms. Next to the kitchen was a small bathroom with a stand-up shower. A wooden ladder led to the only bedroom, which hung over the living room. Connected to the bedroom was a small flight of stairs. They climbed the steps to a glass door and opened it. Jeff and Ann stepped out onto the large wooden deck. It was a beautiful sight they saw. Acres and acres of land covered their view. The mountains and trees seemed endless. Look at this view. Jeff was amazed. How high do you think we are? Jeff looked down and almost lost his balance from the shock of the height. He knew that the deck itself was 34 feet, but adding the cliff that the deck hung off of was extremely high. I'm guessing at least 200 feet. As the dusk developed into night, Jeff poured red wine into a glass for Anne. They cuddled up next to each other on the king-sized bed. It was peaceful and just what they needed. Suddenly, a strange noise came from outside. It startled them both. What was that? Anne jumped and looked at Jeff. Stay here, he told her, and went out to investigate the noise. Jeff opened the glass door and the noise stopped. It was too dark for him to see much of anything, and all he could hear was the howling of the wind. He went back inside, thinking nothing of the sounds, and rejoined Anne. He looked deep into her eyes and whispered that he loved her. As he started to kiss her soft lips, the noises started again. Jeff and Anne could not figure out what it was, but the sound was loud and echoing around them. Maybe the wind is hitting something against the house, Anne suggested, pulling the blanket around her. Let me check it out again, Jeff said, and stepped back outside onto the deck. He looked over the edge and the noise stopped. It was still too dark for him to see. Where's the moonlight when you need it? He said to himself. Jeff turned around and headed back inside. The noise started up immediately. He entered the bedroom and started to search around for a flashlight. What are you doing? Anne asked. Looking to see if they have a flashlight, Jeff answered back as he opened a closet door. They probably have one in the kitchen, Anne said, then got out of bed and climbed down the ladder to the next level. Jeff abandoned his search for the flashlight and walked back to the glass door and opened it. Before he could step out onto the deck, Anne quickly walked up beside him with a flashlight in her hand. Stay here, he said as he tried to take the flashlight from her. No, I want to go with you, she said, tightly holding onto the flashlight. Fine, but stay close. Jeff and Anne walked slowly onto the deck. With the weight of their bodies combined, the deck came crashing down onto the rocks far below. Good job, Dad, Dave's son shouted. I told those damn Johnsons if they built that thing on my side of the property line, I was going to chop it down. I'm surprised they're not coming out here and yelling at us. They're in Sweden right now. Won't they be in for a surprise when they come home? Dave picked up his axe and carried it on his shoulder. He looked down at his son and smiled. Let's go home. I am not a madman. Hello, my name is Philip, and I'm a serial killer. That was the thought that ran through my head last night. The morning sun shined into my room and woke me without warning. I tried to close my eyes tighter, but was unsuccessful. I had to face the fact that it was time to wake up. I knew that the floor would be cold before my feet landed on the hardwood. I searched for my old pair of socks. The rest of my clothes I didn't have to worry about. I'd slept in them. Once dressed, I stumbled out of the room into a hallway crowded with empty beer bottles and crumpled newspapers. This reminded me of where I was. Living in this downtown motel was not something to invite Mother to. Sometimes I didn't know which was worse, having no lock on my rented door, or walking down to the end of the hall to use an unlit bathroom. I stepped out onto what is known as the lifeless part of the city. No one but the homeless walked these streets. Sometimes I would feel like one of them, not knowing where I was going in life and not too sure where life would take me. I did my best to try not to look like one of them, but when I'm talking to the city folks, it's hard to explain the dried-up bloodstains on my white shirt. Just call it being in the wrong place at the wrong time. I'm still not certain whose blood it was. Was it the pimps or the prostitutes? I guess it doesn't really matter now. The wind blew through my ripped overcoat. The tall buildings would hide the morning sun until the afternoon. I hated winter. The hardest part on a winter's day was looking for food. Wait, make that the second hardest. The hardest part was carrying around this axe without anyone seeing it. When people see you trying to hide an axe under your coat, they usually don't like to stick around. Most of them would run away screaming as if I was carrying their decapitated head around. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't always like this. I had a wife named Susan, 2 kids, and a great job. Then, one day, I came home early to find my kids playing in the backyard while my best friend is in bed with my wife. Sometimes I think life can't get any worse. Then I find out that my wife gets the house I paid for, the deck that I built, that nice garden I planted, and the pool. And don't forget the swing set for the kids. That's nice. So even though she gets all that, she's still sleeping with my best friend. The kids get a new uncle named Ralph, and lucky me, I get to pay alimony and child support. So I quit my job because I'm sick of the gossip about my wife being murdered. My boss demotes me, says he feels he cannot trust me anymore, and thinks it's the best thing for the company. But soon enough, everyone finds out that those murders are reality. Susan's body was hacked up into tiny pieces. So I make sure that I move to a place where I'll never be found. My secret place, that's what I'll call it. But when the money fades away, you find yourself stealing and going through garbage cans. Suddenly, the crime of stealing from others soon gets out of control, and then I start to wonder if my victims will tell the police. Now I have to make sure that they can't tell a soul. I would have preferred a knife, but all I could find was this rusted axe in a dumpster behind a Walmart. I do have to say, when I first took a person's life, all I could think was that I could never do this again. First of all, it's not an easy task, especially when going through their wallet and see pictures of their family. That's always a tough one. But throughout the weeks, I have to say it has gotten easier, almost enjoyable. The average adult has about 5 liters of blood in their body. It's funny seeing my victims fight with all their energy, trying so hard to keep every ounce of it. With only 3 hacks from my axe, I can see their body convulsing from the loss of blood. Once their supply of oxygen is cut off, the brain cannot function normally. They become paralyzed, and then their sensory perception starts to go. Brain damage sets in. Finally, death. Now, I'm not saying I hate human life, or that our world has fallen into greed for money. People will always fight for the dollar sign. They don't realize, like I do, that we were not put on this earth to become rich or to become beggars. We are here to survive, and survive by any means possible. With that always in my mind, I don't feel like a crazed lunatic when I take someone's life. Most people would never think that an axe-murdering psychopath would kill them. It never even crosses their mind. Statistics say people are more likely to die by suicide than murder. Did you know more than 30,000 Americans commit suicide each year? People die every day, and in so many horrible ways. Why should my way be any different? I know it's against the law to kill a human being, but what about nature's law? If you look at the animal world, they kill every day. Not only do they kill other species, but also their own. It's all about survival. There are other questions I ask myself, like, am I really that different? If they found me today, would they call me insane for what I've done? Would they think I'm dangerous, or that I have demons inside of me? Would they be made to believe that I see visions of dragons in my sleep? Would they imprison me within 4 metal walls, or would they think that I just had a crude hatred towards human life? Is this just a phase? If they did catch me, I know society would call me names, so let them call me an intruder, killer, or a homicidal maniac. Let them call me whichever they like. Doctors and therapists would say that I was deranged, that I was an outcast, and didn't follow the rules of society. They might say that my human mind is complex and filled with anger. I would disagree. However, I am an outcast of the system, a system of laws and orders that I felt were unjust. When I stopped following the system, I was abused, abandoned, and left for dead. But I never hung my head in shame. Instead, I got even. Even with my wife, with my boss, and with society. It didn't take any voices in my head, nor a doll with needles. I used my axe and hacked my victims like pieces of meat. Many people don't realize that our world may not live forever. One night the sunrise might never come. The sun will turn black. Evil could one day rule our world, or maybe it has already begun.